upstairs at Froelich, show 305 301.
Oh, how do we start this episode? These two movies that we watched. Their only tangential links, I guess, would be that they both star Isabella Adjani, and they're both horror films,
and they're both European productions,
and they're both arty as hell. Both of them
Yes.
are art films, you know. And it's Nosferatu der Vampyre in German, directed by Werner Herzog, produced by Michael Gruskoff, who, if I'm not mistaken, produced Young Frankenstein. Yeah, I was right. He produced Young Frankenstein.
Oh, man.
And he produced this movie. I guess he was a collaborator with Mel Brooks. He produced a couple of productions for Mel Brooks. And he produced this movie, which stars the famous Klaus Kinski. Did you ever see this documentary that Werner put out?
Are you going to talk about The Grizzly Man or My Best Friend or My Worst Enemy?
No, it's My Best Fiend.
My Best Fiend.
My Best Fiend, and it shows Kinski just flipping his shit and going psycho all over everybody, and arguing, shouting matches with Werner Herzog. But Grizzly Man, hey, I love Grizzly Man. That was incredible to watch. Actually, this is what Werner Herzog is doing these days. He seems to be doing movies about man and his relationship with nature, and some of the things that like Cave of Forgotten Dreams is one thing I think about. And Fitzcarraldo, he's obsessed with that. He's obsessed with this idea that man has this grasp on nature, and nature just comes back and bites him in the ass. Mm-hmm. Or in other places, as Grizzly Man would show you.
I haven't seen that movie, so I have no basis for comparison.
Well, it's the story of this guy who studied bears in Alaska. His name was Timothy Treadwell. And he winds up getting eaten by a fucking bear.
Oh, God.
I mean, basically, he's up there, not protected by anything. He has no guns because he thinks he has this kinship with bears. And the thing is, Werner Herzog assembled all of his video footage and put it together. And he narrates it, of course, with that wonderful voice that he has, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about how Timothy Treadwell doesn't seem to understand that he is, when these bears run out of food, he's their next dinner. And even then, I mean, there's footage, because Timothy Treadwell once guested on David Letterman.
Okay.
And David Letterman asks him this question. He says, so are we going to read in the newspaper that you were eaten by bears? And Treadwell just laughs it off, and the audience laughs too. But it turns out Letterman was right. It was absolutely horrible. And the bear killed not only him, but his girlfriend, because they were both there. And they were there way longer than they should have been. And there were some rogue bears that were running around that were too old to hibernate, and they were looking for food, and they ate them. They fucking ate them. And
I definitely need to watch this movie.
It's a really good movie. I think we the first time we saw it was when it premiered on the Discovery Channel. You can find it in many different places, though. It's just a fantastic movie. But Werner Herzog made Nosferatu, which is a Dracula story, but it was made, but some of the names were changed. And
because
some of the
was
characters
originally
were changed.
Well, in the original Nosferatu, it was F.W. Murnau was supposed to make his version of Dracula, but Bram Stoker's estate wouldn't allow it. Right. So he made his own vampire movie, just changed the names around. And then now with this one, number one, Werner Herzog always said that Nosferatu was a masterpiece of cinema.
Yeah.
And it was his dream to remake it. Number two, he waited till the day that the rights expired on Dracula so he could actually use the original names.
Right.
He waited till the day.
But he still changed things around. I mean, they still changed things around like they did with the Bela Lugosi Dracula, too, which is to say they changed Lucy and Mina.
Right.
It was originally Mina. That's why the Coppola version is considered more accurate to the book, because it goes by every narrative beat in the book and keeps the characters' names. But here, the Mina character is actually Lucy, just like it is with the Bela Lugosi and with the John Badham version. John Badham version came out a couple of months after this movie came out in theaters. And from what I understand, this movie was cut up also. The original running time was a lot shorter than the one that we eventually got to see. Same as Possession too. Possession was chopped to ribbons.
Oh yeah,
before
Possession
it was
hacked. I think it was like a 2-hour plus movie, and the version we got was like an hour and a half.
It was like an hour, yeah, or maybe even more, maybe even less actually. The one I got, luckily though, was a nice DVD that Anchor Bay put together at the time. Good DVD, one of the better DVDs of the movie until it came out on Blu-ray. But still, we'll talk about that. But this is okay. This movie and Possession are two of the most depressing movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the ending of Nosferatu, oh my God, that threw me for a loop.
I mean, the whole thing, it's set against the backdrop of the bubonic plague. And you're telling the story, and I think this is what Werner Herzog did, because I don't think they touched upon the plague in the original.
No, I don't think so either. I thought it was a really good idea, though.
It was so good, but to combine that element with the idea of a bloodsucker that's out there turning everybody into vampires, in a way, it's a weird thing because it's immortality that he's offering.
They're also making an allusion to the fact is that this version of Dracula more or less resembles a rat.
A rat, and also those beautiful slow motion shots of bats flying around were fantastic. I want to try and throw them into this episode too.
But there were dude, I love how this movie was shot. Like, I didn't think it was going to be this beautifully shot. I mean, set against the what is it? You had the drab color palette. I mean, but that was done in post. That's how Herzog wanted to shoot it. Very drab.
He wanted to almost make it look like a black and white film. He desaturated it the way Fincher desaturated Seven. You know, to kind of take a lot of the color out of it, and then to put Isabelle Adjani in this white face makeup that she has throughout the movie makes her look dead anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, she would send Morticia Addams running.
Well, one of the few complaints that I have, and they are very, very minimal. I wish I could have seen the French version, or not the French, but the German cut. I only got to watch the English version. Because I don't know if anyone knows, there were two versions made. Like they said, he shot it in German and in English.
He shot it in German and English. His actors knew German and English, some better than others. Obviously, Kinski and Adjani knew English. And they did a fine job with the English, but yeah.
They did, but I think Adjani would have been better if she was speaking in her in German. I mean, I don't know, because I know she's natively French, but at the same time, I don't know how good her German is compared to her English.
She's, I think, well, I mean, you see her she has her French accent in Possession. And she's fine. She's a wonderful actress. She's always bugging out all the time. She's completely losing her shit. I guess if you want like a beautiful woman who just fucking freaks out on you, get Isabelle Adjani, you know. But
I just don't know, her performance in this was just kind of, I mean, it was a little middle. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it too much. There's
a lot you don't understand in the character, because you don't understand. She's like going to get married to Jonathan Harker. He goes off. Of course, we tell the whole Dracula story basically, except we don't have his brides. I don't think we see his brides. He goes into this village that, you know, and they keep warning him, don't go there, don't go there. Wear this, read about this. Here's some garlic. You know, they throw a bunch of stuff at him. He's got a job to do.
And he still goes.
He still goes.
And I think it's really cool that when like he's down there, all you see is the castle. It looks like it's ruins. It looks like there's nothing there. But as soon as nightfall hits, it's an actual castle.
Yeah. Oh, this, and you know, I mean, this and Possession too. I gotta put it out there. European architecture is absolutely fucking incredible. Even when it looks like it's falling to shit, it still looks better than anything we build here in this country. You know. I love those high ceilings. I love those fucking high ceilings. I love stone staircases and all that. And all these this does not look like it was built. It looked like they went on location scouts and they were finding as many decrepit places as they could possibly find. None of this looks like it was like built in a studio.
How about this? How about only 16 crew members worked on this movie?
Well, I mean, how do you deal with all this? You know, all the rats in this movie. There are so many rats.
11,000
rats. If you were looking for a movie with rats, this is the movie that has rats in it. And
I just wanted to know how he got them damn shots. Like, dude, like the whole
and you got to give props
in the town. I mean, granted, the animal cruelty, yeah, that sucks. But holy shit, were those amazing shots?
Yeah, but you got to give credit to Isabelle Adjani. She is playing scenes, walking around these rats. If it were me, I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs.
You're right. I'll give you that. She held her own in front of all them damn rats, because I'd have been flipping out too, kind of like how Harrison Ford would have flipped out in Last Crusade.
Yeah. Okay, but what's so depressing about this is that everyone's dying, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. You know,
and everyone thinks it's the plague, but it's fucking Dracula.
Because if you're going to be a vampire, use the plague as a cover for what you're doing. It's brilliant when you think about it, but it's also very depressing.
I really love the fact, like, this was a part of vampire lore, and I'm glad they touched on it. He had to leave in his own cursed earth.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Well, how about those scenes? Everybody goes nuts about the whole shadow movement thing in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Coppola movie. He ripped off this movie.
Yeah, and that whole scene when Isabelle Adjani is like getting ready for bed, all you see is his shadow. You don't see the reflection in the mirror. That is a brilliant fucking shot.
Yeah. It's just
that is a beautiful, brilliantly well done shot.
These were the little magic tricks you had to do. You had to be, because if you were doing visual effects in movies before computers, before even blue screen or anything, what you had to do was be like a part-time magician. There's some really impressive visual effects shots I've seen in movies as far back as the 50s and the 60s. They never get the kind of attention they deserve, and it's really just misdirection. It's a lot of magic fakery, but it's misdirection. That's really what it is.
Well, the one elephant we got to get out of the room is Mr. Klaus, because we all know about his sordid history. I will tell you this. I thought he made a brilliant Count Dracula. I've always admired that man as an actor, but as a person, not so much.
No, of course. He's,
as a person. But there is one thing I will tell you.
He was an insufferable, disgusting lech, and he was hard to direct, but he brought it. He did bring it. There was one shot in the movie that made me feel very uncomfortable, and it pretty much affirmed like all the stories about him being abusive towards his daughters, like sexually. Mm-hmm.
The scene where he's biting Lucy. Do you notice he is like totally tit grabbing her?
Yeah, he's grabbing her. Well, he also he pulls up her gown and he touches her crotch. And the thing, she's just laying there, and that's again, got to give props to Isabelle. Fantastic actress to be putting up with.
Yeah, but she basically let him fucking grope her like that. And I get it, but when you hear about Klaus Kinski, you can't help but take your eyes away from that one little thing. It's like it was something you'd never in a million years notice had you not heard after he died. He molested his kids and was a fucking sexual deviant.
Yeah. Maybe it's part of his art. I don't know.
Well, not the molesting his kids, I hope.
Well, I mean, his kids were actors too. I mean, it's like, it's just.
Yeah, but then you hear when he died, only his son came to the funeral.
Well, yeah, he was absolutely hated. A brilliant actor, nonetheless. He is this part. And he is so perfectly this character. He's so perfectly. Nosferatu was the first time, going back to F.W. Murnau, it was the first time that we see this for what it is. He's a monster. He is a monster, and even when he doesn't look as horrible as he does, he still looks like a monster.
I just don't know, like, dude, if I was Jonathan, the second I would have saw that guy, I'd been like, okay, I'm out, bye.
He wasn't like Coppola and like John Badham casting Frank Langella because of the stage play of Dracula. And then the casting of Bela Lugosi always tries to underscore some kind of sexy thing about Dracula, some sexual, some magnetism, some charisma. And this thing he is something that locks you within this hypnotic embrace. And it's something that you can't escape from. And that's why I think she's perfect, because she's got the bug eye. As I thought about Isabella Adjani.
Yeah, she's got the bug eye. I was going to say, yeah, you know what, Ray? She's got the bug eyes going on.
She's got the bug eyes. Sorry about the bug eyes thing.
Sorry about the bug eyes, Janine.
But I always thought of her as a beautiful Shelley Duvall.
Good? Oh, I like that. That's very good.
She's a beautiful Shelley Duvall. She is not. Shelley Duvall has all the same characteristics as Isabelle Adjani, except Isabelle Adjani's really gorgeous. She just has a beautiful face, and the camera likes to linger on her in both movies. They linger on her like crazy. But like I said, I watched this. I don't know
what it is, but all these French women have the same face. Like you put Isabelle Adjani, Sophie Marceau, and fucking Monica Bellucci all up together.
Yeah,
and they all look identical.
Yeah. I watched this. I rewatched it on a last Friday, and it was absolutely gray, but there was no rain. It was absolutely gray, overcast. I'm watching it in the middle of this whole COVID nonsense, and I'm having to deal with this. I'm watching a movie about a real plague that is killing everyone. And there's so much imagery wrapped up in this. There is an image in this movie that disturbs me. Like, how you were disturbed. There's an image in this movie that disturbs me far more than him groping Isabelle Adjani. It's the people sitting at the table having their last supper in the middle of the town square, and then
the flash cut.
We flash cut, and it's all rats, It's all rats on that table. It kills me to watch this movie. This movie is absolutely...
Did you notice the dead horse when Isabelle Adjani is running through town square saying, "I know what's causing the plague.
Yeah.
It's not the plague." You see just a dead horse on the ground.
Yeah, there's a dead horse. And something tells me that was not a costume or any kind of thing. I think it was a real dead horse. They don't have the Humane Society in Europe. Well, at least they didn't back then. But
it is what it is.
This is okay. This is a horror film. You want to watch a movie for the sheer horror of it, but there's human horror happening in this too. Absolute human horror, and it is incredibly depressing.
I wish they would have delved a little more into Renfield's backstory because, like,
you know what? I really like that actor. What did you think of him? I liked him a lot. He was like
the hell out of him. I enjoyed him.
He was giggling on crossing the border of insanity, but he was also crying a little bit. He was giggling, crying kind of thing. He was like uncontrollably giggling and not wanting to. And it made him mad. And he was mad. He was absolutely crazy. I mean, I enjoy Renfield anyway. Renfield is just a fun character. Renfield was Harker's predecessor in handling the Count's legal, financial, real estate affairs. I've always enjoyed Renfield. Like Tom Waits. I thought Tom Waits was fantastic in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He's one of the better performances in that movie for me.
Well, everybody else but Keanu and Winona.
I will go to Count Dracula, Mina. I will go to Budapest.
To waste this most non-heinous vampire.
And also, Bruno Ganz. Bruno Ganz, great actor, playing Harker in the movie. And if I remember correctly, he was in Wings of Desire. Yes, he was the angel in Wings of Desire, which was remade with Nicolas Cage as City of Angels.
Good movie, though.
But I'm Nicolas Cage, and I'm an angel, and I'm in love with Meg Ryan. That's my Nicolas Cage. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, but he dials it back in that fucking movie, though. He really dials it back.
Yes, he's a little bit like this instead. And then the Goo Goo Dolls appear. Okay, so we got 2 thumbs way up for Nosferatu. Now, you and me are going to split the bill, as it were, because on the next film. This movie actually, I finally left you breathless with this one. You were absolutely freaked the fuck out by 1981's Possession. Also starring Isabella Adjani and a young Sam Neill.
Who could have been James Bond around that time had he screen tested properly.
By the way, Isabelle won the Best Actress award for Possession, and this was an official selection of the Cannes Film Festival. This movie was made in 1981 by writer-director Andrzej Zulwowski. Written by Zawalski and Frederick Tooten, based on his divorce. And you can see why when you're watching this movie.
Oh, yeah.
This movie, actually, you know what? There's so much I can comment on with Possession because you're going to be at a loss for words.
I can't wait.
Well, okay, this is like, what I think this is a kind of symbolism, of course, and I'm going to get all art house on you. I thought it was a symbolist interpretation of a divorce, of a dying marriage. And I'm sure there's some stuff in here. Now, the both of us, we're happily married. I've been married for 20 years. You've been married for 7 years. You have children, I have a child. There's some stuff here that rings true in as far as a relationship between a man and a woman in marriage. There is a certain intimacy in this movie that can get uncomfortable at times when you're directly confronting it, watching a movie. Now, imagine me. I watched this. I had never seen the movie before, and then it showed up at the Lincoln Film Center where they show repertory films. Basically old movies. They have a program, calendar, and I really wanted to see Possession because I'd heard so many things about it. So I dragged my wife. We were only married for I think 2 years at that point. Mm-hmm. We didn't even have the baby yet. We just went to the movies because back then, when you didn't have babies, you could just go to the movies and you didn't have to worry about anything. So we go over to Lincoln Center, we watch this movie, and it's 2 hours of Isabella Adjani shrieking and doing pirouettes and arabesques and swirling all over a subway station and having a horrible miscarriage from a monster that she's having an affair with and splattering milk everywhere and screaming at the top of her lungs. It's just absolutely hysterical. And I bought it on DVD. I watched it again because it came out. I wrote a review of it for Film Threat magazine, actually. And then I watched it again Was it Saturday night or Friday night? I think it was Friday night I watched it after we finished watching Twin Peaks. And, it's funny. I put on Possession, and just as soon as the credits start rolling, she's like, "Oh God, is that Possession? I'm getting out of here. I'm going to bed. Good night." Gives me a kiss and runs into the bedroom. And I understand it's a very, very disturbing movie to watch. It's incredibly disturbing, this movie. Regan got a kick out of a lot of the crazy psycho shit that she was up for a couple of minutes because she had to brush her teeth before she went to bed. And she was like, "What's wrong with her?"
She didn't walk into the demon tentacle fucking.
No. I made sure to make sure but she was, there's some wonderful stuff in here. And there's some stuff in here because I've heard Tarantino talk about this movie, and there's some Tarantino-esque kind of stuff going on in this movie.
Well, that one character, that fucking crazy guy. I don't even remember.
Which one?
His
Which
name.
crazy guy? So many.
The one that she's had. The one of the human.
Oh,
that
one
she's
of her.
having
Her older lovers, right? The guy who knew the fucking martial arts and beats the shit out of Sam Neill.
Yes.
This is the thing. Okay, there's a lot of quirkiness about this. Okay, Sam Neill knows that Isabella Adjani has been cheating on him. He gets back from a mission. He's a secret agent too. That's another thing that kind of figures into the plot, right? He's a secret agent. He knows, he says, whatever problems we have, we can work them out. He wants to stay with her because she's so beautiful and everything. And they have a child named Bob. And she's like all crazy batshit. And she knows that one of her lovers was this guy, Heinrich, right? And Heinrich is weird. He goes and he confronts Heinrich. Heinrich is kind of weirdly bisexual because he keeps trying to come on to him too. So he gets all close and he keeps touching him and everything. And he says, "I know what you're going through," and all this stuff. And then Sam Neill tries to wallop him and he just beats the shit out of him. And he does this he's doing like this weird martial arts on him.
Yeah, it's that was like severely Looney Toony.
It got a big laugh out of the audience in the theater because they were not expecting this, right?
Neither was I. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I was high off my ass watching this movie. At your recommendation,
I figured it would go easier on you. I recommend you watch it again, stone cold sober, at some point in the future. Then you'll pick up on a couple of other things. But I wanted to go easy on you, so I said, just try to relax, man. Okay,
dude,
it's only a movie.
That took me out of it a little bit.
What, the martial arts?
That martial arts thing, it kind of took me out of the movie.
What I found peculiar was how receptive Heinrich was to Sam Neill's character as well, which leads me to suspect that he's just a big old horn dog. And as it turns out, it is not Heinrich that she's having an affair with, because he says she hasn't talked to me in months. We haven't been fooling around. We haven't been doing anything lately, right?
Right.
And so he goes and he hires a private detective. And the private detective is like the worst private detective in the world, the way he's following her around. He's making it really obvious that he's following
her. Oh, yeah.
He's running toward her. He's getting into the train. He finds this building. She takes another apartment that she's obviously keeping with her lover, whoever that is. He goes in posing as like somebody looking for broken glass or something. And he goes into this room, and there's this horrible fucking creature in there. And it's like this. It's Carlo Rambaldi creation, actually. Carlo Rambaldi created the effect, this crazy monster effect. It's like this weird octopus man.
And let us forget, he also created E.T.
He created E.T., he created Yoda, I believe. He creates monsters, and he created this monster. And it's like, ooh. So she, I don't know, she's compelled to kill. I think this creature has some kind of telepathic hold over her as well. She kills this guy, this private detective, but she doesn't know he's a private detective. He just sort of showing up and looking around. And he dies, and I guess he gets absorbed or something. I want to assume, or parts of him anyway. She chops up body parts.
Yeah, she keeps parts in the fridge and shit like that. You find that out.
For like a midnight snack. And so the private detective's lover, he's a homosexual. His lover calls up Sam Neill. I don't know what's happened to him. Can you do something about this? Sam Neill meets up with Heinrich again and uses some of his secret agent tactics to kill Heinrich. I guess I don't know what he does. Oh, Heinrich gets attacked first. He gets stabbed by her, runs off, goes to a bar, calls up Sam Neill. There's something weird going on in that apartment, man. Sam Neill.
Are you sure it's not Julie and Uncle Frank? It just hit you, didn't it? That Clive Barker ripped off Possession. See, that hit me.
Actually, yeah,
right away. That hit me.
Well, Hellraiser is very similar. Hellraiser is very similar to it. The Hellbound Heart, the original story that he wrote, it has a different sensibility, though. It's all done from the point of view of a broken family rather than, I guess, a husband and his cheating wife or something like that. But even he cheated. And there's something so weird about this because one of Bob's teachers is played by Isabella Adjani also. She has green eyes and she has brown hair.
I was going to say, then you get into that whole doppelganger shit.
So, yeah, well, I mean, that's what this, I've always tried to put this together in my head about possession, is that I think the moral of the story, once we get to the end, is that it's as if your partner wants you but doesn't want you. They want a new version of you.
Yeah.
It's a really, I mean, it's like, it's sort of, if you're looking at it from the point of view of a writer-director who is going through a horrible divorce, he's looking at a man who has stolen his wife or his woman, and he views that as his property. But what it really is another version of you that has stolen that. And that's why I think that the movie is incredibly deep on that level. When we get down to it, Sam Neill finds out, he basically finds her in the room being made love to I mean, the way she's shrieking, it's either lovemaking or rape or something like that. It's a weird thing. And she's there and she's naked, covered with this thing. And again, you got to hand it to Isabelle Adjani for actually having the balls to do this. She is a fearless actress. But I've heard because the DVD came with commentary with the director talking to this film scholar, and he was talking about working with her, and she said that she was very difficult too. So she might be just as difficult as Klaus Kinski to work with.
No, I don't think Klaus would. Okay, come on. There was the story about Nosferatu, how Werner Herzog, to get a good subdued performance out of him, would trigger him during the day so he could make him blow off all his energy on temper tantrums, and then when it came time to film, he was calm.
I believe that. I absolutely believe that.
Okay, so there is difficult to the 157th power, which is Klaus Kinski, and then there's just like, you're difficult.
Well, the thing is, I think
nobody is Klaus Kinski difficult.
But he's a man. He's an actor, and I think a difficult actress is a different beast. It's probably a different kind of being difficult, right?
Oh yeah, okay. You know what, Linda Fiorentino. There you go.
Fiorentino, I've heard, is difficult to work with. I've heard Kim Cattrall, very difficult to work with.
Terrible to work with.
A couple others, but
those are like I guess you could say those. You're like your big three.
Yeah.
I don't know, but no one will ever be that difficult as Klaus. But you could say, for basis of comparison, she's probably Kim Cattrall bad. And I'd say she's probably Kim Cattrall bad.
You know what? Kim Cattrall strikes me as kind of like Miss Thing, and she's all that. She thinks she's full of herself. I think Adjani is more in the unstable column. I think she's somebody who absolutely just goes like psycho, like will go crazy. She's French. What do you? She's fucking French. All right. She's there's no delicate way around it. She's fucking French. But and I say that because I have a little French in me, and you probably do too. For Central European, we've probably got a little bit of French.
Probably.
So don't fucking piss me off, man. That's all. Anyway, we've been sucking Johnny's ass for like 30 minutes. Not that that's a bad way to go, but we got to talk about Sam Neill. Sam Neill is wonderful in this movie. This is a very early movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is this around the time? This is before Final Countdown, I think, right?
No, this is after. Final Countdown was 80, I believe.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah, Final Countdown was
1980. So he would have
81.
had, he didn't have that much experience. Yeah. This was right after Omen 3, Final Conflict. He had only been in 6 movies, and My Brilliant Career was the movie that kind of made everybody take notice of him, from 1979, an Australian movie directed by Gillian Armstrong. That's what got him the role in Omen 3. I guess he has a certain thing about him, and we talked about Sam Neill a little bit when we talked about him in the John Carpenter episode. They missed each other by 5 years. Carpenter would have been casting Sam Neill in a lot of stuff. He would have been his new Kurt Russell if possible, because there's something about Sam Neill. He has this great, and this is the first part he plays in a succession of parts where he plays a guy whose wife is fucking around on him. That's all. Most of his noteworthy movies were always about he was married to a person whose wife was fucking around on him. So he has this quality about him that is kind of boyish, but he also has this kind of light in the eyes that he isn't quite there. He kind of has this feeling like you don't want to turn your back on him. And he's so good in this movie. He's
excellent in this movie. He at least made the movie watchable for me.
You made it watchable. You can't watch. They seem to not have much in common, and then that might be the part of the marriage that doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, yeah,
they don't look like peers, you know.
They don't even look like they're a real married couple. They don't even act like they've been married.
I think they did. See, this is where you and I differ. I think this is a very realistic marriage falling apart type thing. It just looked absolutely insane to me. Everything, and you'll wind up saying and doing things that you'll regret, because this is like your family, and you don't want anything tearing your family apart, right?
Right.
So you're going to go crazy, and you're going to grab an electric knife and try to slice open your own throat. You know, things like that.
Oh, man.
But you wouldn't know. I wouldn't know about that, but we can imagine.
Dude, this whole thing makes me uneasy. This whole movie just made me so uneasy. I don't know why. And there was another movie I watched, and I was going to compare it, but I totally forgot. It was another movie I thought made me feel uneasy, and I said, this one took the taco. This one just made me feel horrible.
Okay, so we finally, when we get to the end of the whole thing, and I just have to break it down just a little bit, I forget what sets off the whole thing with the cops. They come, they shoot him, he causes a diversion, he goes back to this apartment that she's now living in with this mystery man who we finally see. And he's being shot, and both her and him get shot by cops. This guy escapes. He looks exactly like Sam Neill, except he doesn't have his eyes. He has brown eyes. It's interesting. And then he shows up at the apartment where Bob is staying with the teacher that looks like Isabelle Adjani, because she's agreed to take care of the kid while he's off on his merry adventures, trying to either kill or get his wife back. And he shows up, and he's knocking at the door, and the kid is like, don't open the door, don't open the door, don't open the door. And he runs off. He runs upstairs, and he jumps into a bathtub. And we hear bombs going off.
And kills himself.
I don't know that he kills himself, because he's very good at, I guess, holding his breath underwater. Maybe that's what he was trying to do. But it's possible they all die, because we hear bombs going off. And it just sort of ends there with this.
And you see, she has the green eyes, too.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is it? I mean, it's like we've swapped bodies, we've swapped personalities, we've put personalities into new bodies. It's like a body snatcher type thing. It's weird, isn't it?
It is, but blah, 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 blah. Dude, I'm sorry. This movie didn't make any fucking sense to me. I tried. I mean, God help me, I tried, but I'm sorry, man. I mean, I told you to put this picture up, and for those, when you see this picture, you'll understand why. I don't like arty horror films. I don't.
And as I said,
like the caption says, fuck it. Let's just watch Sleepaway Camp 3 again. Those are the type of movies I like.
Let's watch Bruce Springsteen's sister with a penis.
Exactly. I will take Pamela Springsteen over Isabelle Adjani. Okay. Isabelle Adjani is, I guarantee, the better actress, but in a horror movie, I'll take Pamela Springsteen.
I have to go. I'm in both camps when it comes to that. I like me some entertainment that is mindless, maybe stupid, maybe cheesy, as long as they're aware of how cheesy it is and they try not to be too important, self-important, even like Possession. And then I like a movie like Possession. I like the palate cleanse, you know?
Yeah, you want some cheese to go with that wine. I'll just take the cheese, thank you.
Oh, but I think next time we are going to be discussing a movie I can't stand. We're going to be talking about Jordan Peele's two movies, Get Out and Us. And unfortunately, we're not going to talk about his best movie, which is Keanu, in my opinion. Sorry.
That movie was funny. That movie was funny as fuck.
It was absolutely funny as fuck with Keanu. But no, we're going to be talking about Get Out and Us, his important horror movies.
I guess you could say that. I didn't even think Get Out was that important. I thought it was entertaining as all hell, but I saw no importance in it. I'm just like, okay.
Well, have you seen Us yet?
No, not yet.
All right. Well, you're gonna love it.
That is this week's homework.
You know what? I think you're gonna like it. Just to piss me off, you're gonna like that movie.
All right. That's a bet.
And until then, we'll see you then when we'll be talking about 2 more horror films. Until then, good night and have a pleasant tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
All right. Good night.
Good night.